a shadow in the government's game. Born as a child with no face and no name. They stole my past to leave me cold and alone. Always searching for a place I could call home. I was lost in the dark, just a tool in the hand, till she pulled me close and helped me understand. Now the fire inside is starting to rise. I can see the truth through 1,000 lies. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. In the dead of the night, I can hear the call. All the ghosts of my past scratching through the wall. My eyes change colors, the power has grown. With Crowley the hound, I am never alone. I used to be hollow, a man made of glass, but now I am reclaiming every year that has passed. Every memory is falling right back into place. I know every name and I remember every face. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hell on beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I ain't running no more, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Gonna settle that debt in the depth of the night. They tried to break me, they tried to erase, but they can't hide the blood from the scars on my face. The veil is thin and the engine is hot. I'm taking back everything that they thought I forgot. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I remember it all now. Every single face, I'm calling for you in the dead of the night.
Hello everybody, it's me Henry. We're starting on part 10 tonight. And tonight I'm going to kind of go over a little bit on how they do this, extracting the souls, spirits, whatever you want to call them, and they put them in another person's body. Well, to start out, they do a summoning after they do a ritual in order to get the power to pull and draw that spirit and capture it. That spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it, has no choice. It's basically lured out, tears through the veil, and they proceed to kind of lock it up. And then it's under the controller's spell. Whatever the controller says, that's what it does. Then they get a host, like me, and they perform another ritual after a lot of torture and beatings to wear me down where you can't fight no more. They fracture the mind so you can't think clearly to fight. So they break you physically and mentally before they put you back together. So then, while you're in that broken state, they do another ritual and basically do like what these demons do. Aliens, I call them, but they call them demons. Whatever you want to call them. And they make the host presentable. Then the spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it, goes into the host. Well, it takes a few hours to get everything lined up. The spirit has to accept its new cage, host, whatever you want to call it. Then there's a time period that goes by where the host has to accept the new spirit. Now, there were several reasons for doing this. I'm not sure why they did it the first time, what that was over. I fear maybe it was to give a sucker a baby. Well, just so happened that sucker was me. I know there's probably a lot more out there, but I'm using myself tonight as to tell the story. Now you got to remember, at that particular time, the host and the hostess, they have to coexist. During the rituals and the deals, the spirit is conditioned that in times of need, it can override its host, me in that case. So just say that, as a kid, I'm not up to par as an adult, even though I acted more adult than I did ever a kid, and I preferred to hang around with the older people, older kids. I just didn't seem to fit in with the younger ones. And I guess maybe that's the reason why that, and being a test tube baby, I was always around grown-ups and never kids. So that could be part of it too. It could be a whole list of things. But to give you an example, just say that I was out and about and somebody was picking at me, a grown-up. A little kid don't know how to really fight back. They ain't fast, they ain't coordinated, can't think, because they're thinking with a kid mind, not a grown-up mind, like the grown-up that's picking on them. That's where this would take place. He would override, because he was an adult. He was more on their level. So basically, he was using my body as a vessel. And even though they were seeing me, it was his thoughts, his actions through my body in which they seen. So that's kind of how that goes. It's basically like a possession, except for it's a forced inhabitant, and it's done by humans, but of course they have to offer something up of great value, and it just so happened it was more than likely, I don't know, I didn't see, it was more than likely some sort of a human sacrifice. An animal sacrifice wouldn't have done. It's kind of like you go to buy a car, and they tell you how much it is, and you dicker with them. You say, here's all I got. And if the dealer decides to take your offer, you go home with the car. If not, then you better figure out some way to get some money, or you better find a cheaper car. And that's how that goes. it is weird at times because most days people that encounter me, these three entities are kind of like off stage. You know, they're in the wings, waiting to see if I'm going to mentally ask for one of them to step forward to take care of this problem. Then there's other cases where maybe I was someplace, I'd just say out in the yard, and which this did happen. There was a truck sitting back in a field across the road from me, back in the hayfield, and they was quite a ways back in there. Well, when I come outside, I'd do like I normally did. I'd look all around, see if there's any hidden dangers waiting. Well, it just so happened, not the dog I have now, but the other dog, I went out to get him. I had tied him out in the front, so I'd clean his kennel out and let him have a little fresh air, because he was mainly an inside dog. Well, I go out to get him. He's on this big cable, so I take the choker collar out, but that's the only way you could really control a pit bull, you know, if they decide to break. So I proceeded to watch him and put the choker collar around his neck and undone the cable and laid it up on top of the tree up there in the bee. And I caught a glimpse of something. It's like a shiny object, like you would take a mirror and aim it at the sun and then flicker it, a shimmer like. So I walked toward the house and kept my eye where I'd seen that shimmer at the corner of my eye, and then I just happened to notice there was a pickup truck kind of hid behind the brush there, because there's like a wood line between the two fields, and this truck was hid back in there. So I brought the dog in, put him in his kennel, grabbed a monocular and went outside and looked over there. And lo and behold, there was a man and woman sitting in this white pickup truck. The man had his window down. Out the driver's side door, he had what looked like a high-powered rifle with a scope on it, and he was watching me. Well, I'm sitting there watching him watching me. So I go back in the house, come back out with a gun, the scope, looked over there where I'd seen that vehicle set, and it was gone. He noticed me watching him, watching me. I guess he decided to chicken out. Well, in that case, this older gentleman, he kicked in. Otherwise, I'd probably never went back outside. I'd went out the side door and stayed in the backyard where there's more cover. Not this old man. That old man wasn't scared of nothing except for a hang rope. Well, see, automatically he jumped in and took over. But again, most days, the other three spirits just hang side stage, backstage, whatever you want to call it. But that day saved my ass. Had I not been paying attention and seen that vehicle, my intention really wasn't to go back outside after I seen him watching me, watching him. But in any case, his bluff charge worked. Scared him off. So these three spirits have saved my life more times than any weapon, because sometimes it's just a split-second jump. It's me that they see, But it's these other three spirits' action sometimes it kicks in, takes over. And sometimes there's a warning, sometimes there's not. But that's how it goes, you know. You only got split seconds. Well, I had worked with these three, two uncles and this old man in the project for a long time, learning how to adapt. There was times that to get me and them used to working together as a coherent unit, instead of going haywire and this one flipping in, this one flipping out, and this one flipping in. They put me through a battery of tests all the time. Of course, you got to remember, I was like 3 or 4 stories below ground. They'd take me to a big room, and real nice room. I mean, considering where it was at. They'd let me go to sleep, and kind of like the military training. There was no warning. They would just random time burst through the door and start shooting. They'd throw a trash can into the room to see which one was going to interact first and take over. So that way it could be just like a split-second judgment. It wouldn't be like I'd say, hey, I need this one to come forward. Put that sandwich down, get in here. No, it's just like in the blink of an eye. I mean, just like that. It took time. And it was a rough way to go. But eventually we learned to work as a unit. And I know there's some people out there that's probably thinking some crazy thoughts right about now. You got to understand something. I'm always right here. Always. The only time that I don't take control, when one of these spirits comes forward to help me save myself, I don't intervene. But just here sitting around, unless they have something they want to say, it's usually just me. It's like they're dormant. They know everything that's going on. They see through my eyes, they hear through my ears. Sometimes they even speak through my mouth. And there's not a lot of people that really knows me. Not even Ethan. He knows me about as good as anybody else, but he don't really know me. My wife knows me best. And every so often, something stupid will happen. And of course, my wife, she just comes out and says, okay, who in the hell, which one of you did it? Did what? Which one of you didn't put the container on top of the food and put it in the fridge? I never say nothing. I just kind of sat there, and she goes, which one's the prankster? Well, they were all three pranksters. So which one did it? Hell, I don't know. Could have been me. Could have been one of those three. Just according to who stepped forward at that moment. I usually don't worry about the little things in life. Don't care to dwell on it. I'm more or less watching out for every time I walk out that door, or every time a vehicle goes by, or late at night when some fool decides to go by and act stupid, wondering, okay, is tonight going to be the night that it happens, or are they just monkeying with me? They like to play mind games, these people do. I'm not much on mind games. Try to stay away from them myself. But I never ever got to deal the cards. Always had to play the cards I've dealt. Hope for the best. Lady Luck's always been, I will say, mostly on my side because I'm still kicking. But, then again, Mr. Murphy always rides shotgun. And I'll tell you who Mr. Murphy is. Mr. Murphy is that son of a bitch that slides in your pocket. And just say you go to get a sandwich, you get it made, big old giant sandwich. You start to reach down to grab it, and the dog comes up and grabs the sandwich, takes off. That's Mr. Murphy. Anything that can go wrong, will. And he's to blame for it. Then you got Karma. She's might as well say like a sister. She puts me in weird predicaments at times, and sometimes I just walk into a situation and have to deal with it. Not because I want to, but because karma led me in there to a position where it's a crapshoot. Try to keep karma on a leash, but you know how she is. She's like a criminal. One of them lifelong criminals, and one that sat there in that cage and all they got to think about is getting out. Or sneaking a piece of glass or a piece of metal to make a knife to gank somebody. That's karma. She's the evil bitch. But she's always there too. So every time I go outside, I'm very vigilant. That's the way I survive. I got karma in one pocket that's always trying to screw me over. Then I got Mr. Murphy in the other pocket. So, it's a good thing there is 3 inhabitants inside of me, plus my own self. That kind of keeps the other 2 somewhat at bay. Not always, but somewhat. It's kept me alive so far. I've walked into a lot of strange shit. Well, anyway, that's kind of how it goes with these spirits inside of me. And that's how we all coexist. So, just wanted to make that perfectly clear and kind of how it was done. I don't know how they're doing it nowadays, but that's the way they was doing it. That's the way they done it to me. They could be doing it the same way. Who knows? There's lots of crazies out there, and I think 90% of those crazies was running those projects. But I survived. Glad I survived, because never would have met the lady I got. Never would have had the life that I always hoped for. Not during the projects, but the life I have right at the moment. We have a nice home, nice place. But it comes with its price. Constantly have to be vigilant, look around, make sure nobody's going to take a pop shot at you. But there's been a few fools try it. Some of these idiots never learn. I ain't out there looking for trouble. I ain't out there running around and doing crazy shit. I try to stay to myself. Live a peaceful life if I can. But if trouble comes, we'll meet it head on. We don't run. So that's the way it goes. But anyway, I was talking about in the other video, I think it was 9 or 8. I don't know what they was using my blood for. Sometimes wonder if they wasn't doing that for whatever they was using the blood for. It could have been for the sacrifices, who knows. How far as I know, they could have been drinking it. Maybe they was making more of me, who knows. All I know is I'm as human as I possibly can be. I don't go out there looking for it, but the answers are starting to come back. I remember more and more things every day. But anyway, they used to like to play a lot of mind games with me. In second grade, for instance, I had a school teacher when I started second grade. All the kids liked her. Real nice lady, young lady. She had a husband that was just, he looked like he was meaner than a Texas cop. But he was a good man. He just looked rough. He probably could have been rough if you met him in a dark alley and crossed him, but anyway, when I started her class, first day, my mom took me there and she had a talk with her outside the classroom and was trying to explain away the finger and toe pricks, and how I was always tired and she should keep me awake. And she just kind of left it at that. She didn't take it any further. All that did was make this young teacher that was, and I say this in a friendly way, I don't mean nothing bad by it, but her and her husband were like the old-time hippies from the 60s. I mean that in a good way. They were good people. But anyway, I would call them free thinkers. First couple of days, she had signed me a rider because I was having problems with my fingers, my hands, my toes. And she tried not to have me get up too much and walk around too much because my feet were swollen and hurting. I was real sluggish, but I hung on her every word. Well, they had me a person to write for me, and one day all the kids went out for recess, and I stayed in and was going to rest. Teacher had a different idea. She come back there and she goes, "Can I ask why your fingers and toes are like they are?" Uh-oh. Well, I kind of felt comfortable around her, so I proceeded to tell her that in the projects, before that, I'd went to a clinic all the time and was still going to a clinic, so every day I'd have to leave school for them finger and toe pokes. Well, she kind of walked away dumbfounded. But then she tried and come back. She goes, "Can I ask another question?" "Shoot. I'm an open book." I didn't know I was supposed to keep my mouth shut. "Your parents ain't in some kind of cult, are they?" "Cult? What's that?" Black magic, devil worshiping. Not that I know of. I said, "But I don't know what them doctors are at that clinic that's always taking that blood and stuff out of my toes and fingers. Who knows? They look evil. They got about as much compassion as a saw blade. None. Always real mean acting and looking." Well, every time recess come along, she had a new question. So, a couple of weeks goes by, and we come into class and took our seat. She come in, she was wiping. You could see where her makeup was kind of smeared. She stood in front of her desk and rested her backside on the desk. That was unusual for her. She never ever done that. Normally, she either stood in front of the desk or she walked around behind the desk and stood or sat down. Unless she was at the chalkboard. But she got her hanky and made herself presentable. Then she called for our attention. She goes, now I'm going to be leaving to go to a different job. Well, me and her had been talking. I thought, They got to her. That or my mom got to her. Something happened. She was explaining that it wasn't nobody's fault. Nobody should be sad about it. She's going for higher pay someplace else. She didn't say where. We didn't get a chance to ask. She goes, but I'm going to be printing up some papers because she said I'm going to still be here another couple of weeks. But the new teacher will be here in 2 weeks. Now, I'm going to go home and print up some papers, invitations, and it's a party at my house for all you kids and me to say goodbye to each other. And she goes, I'd appreciate it if you tell your parents about it when you go home today. So, 10 o'clock, the bell rings, and the kids go out playing in the playground, and I'm sitting there, and she comes back over where I'm at and told me, she goes, it's not your fault. I figured it was anyway, but I tried to act cheerful. She goes, why don't you go outside and just sit on the step, and I'll be out there in a minute. I go out there and talking to a couple other kids and happened to look back toward the classroom window. There was 2 of these guys from the project showed up. They had her kind of surrounded there at the chalkboard, 2 guys. So I was watching and not paying attention to what was going on around me, and I noticed while I was staring, the one guy took his eye off the teacher and stared directly at me, like he knew I was watching him. Well, I could tell just by the gestures that she was scared and they was putting the fear of God into her, so I walked in there. They looked at her and looked at me and looked back at her, and they said, you remember what we told you. They turned and walked off. Well, she's sobbing, and I'm standing there like a fucking idiot, not knowing what to say or do. So I give her time, and I sit down at my desk. She come back there, and she goes, what are you involved in? I said, it ain't by choice. I said, about all I can tell you. I said, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff I could tell you that's happened so far. I said, every time I go, I wonder if I'm going to be allowed to come back. Probably one of these days I won't, when they get through with me. She goes, well, I think I'm going to have my husband come to school and sit in the classroom. Of course, in grade school, they was a little small school, they was allowed to do that. So up until she got ready to leave, her husband come sit in the back of the room. Well, she printed up the papers and handed them to all of us, and we took them home. The big day come. It's on a Saturday evening at 5 p.m. It's only going to last till like 9. So, all of us kids showed up at her house. They're in the next town over. We all kind of arrived at the same time, within a few seconds of each other. So we all, single file, walked up the sidewalk, up the 3 little steps, onto the next sidewalk, to the porch. She had the porch light on. Her and her husband was standing there, and she introduced us to her husband, in case some of us didn't remember his name. And as we passed by, she touched you on the shoulder, and this is Henry. Henry, this is my husband. She said his name, but I won't use it because I don't have permission to use his name or hers. And he'd stick your big old paw out there and shake her hand and good to meet you. Welcome in. Go in and make yourself at home. Well, after all of us kids got in there, they shut the door and come in and did all kinds of things there. There was all kinds of stuff to eat. Cakes, pies, and the whole table was loaded. Well, there was games we played, and then we sat down and had story time. And we sat there, and she said, I've never read you guys a story in class. We don't have no kids, as of yet. But she said, I always thought it would be neat just to have a story time. So I decided that we're just going to do it. So she read the story to us, and her husband was sitting there amongst all of us listening. I don't know who was the bigger kid, us or him. After the story was done, each one of us got up, single file, and walked up, give her a hug, give him a hug, and it was time to go. Well, the next few weeks was kind of a little depressing, but then we got this new teacher, and she was there while our old teacher was there. And on her very last day, she was packing her stuff up in a box, and her husband was there, and he carried the box out and was standing outside the doorway. And she asked the new teacher if she could sign off with the kids one last time. She said, oh yeah, take as long as you want. So she goes, now, there shouldn't be no tears. There shouldn't be no bad feelings. It ain't the amount of time you have. It's what you do with the time you have. Never forgot that saying. I even told my wife that one time. And I meant it. It's never about the quantity of time or the amount of time. It's what you do in the amount of time you're allotted. So keep that in mind, son of you. You could live 1,000 years and may not have accomplished shit or loved anybody or nobody loved you back. But just say you only lived 5 years. And you give as much love as you got back. See what I mean? It's a strange concept, but it's realistic anyway. Then she told us that we was to be good and to mind the new teacher like it was her. And she would miss us all. And at the same time, we all spoke up and said, we'll miss you too. And she turned and started heading for that door, and she broke down, and her husband grabbed her, and one arm had the box of stuff in the other arm, and they headed down the hallway past the cafeteria and out to their car. Never seen them again after that. But me and the new teacher, she was another one of them old hippie types, Good person. Well, got to know her and found out that she had a different way of teaching, but it was still fun. It wasn't like most of those stick-in-the-mud teachers. Girls are like her, too. She one day come to school, and I didn't go out for recess. I'd doze off and on in the classroom. And she goes, hey, if I tell you something you won't tell, Okay. She goes, you know Jim Croce? Ain't he the one that sings Leroy Brown, Bad Leroy Brown? Rapid Roy? Yeah. She said, he's a friend of mine. He used to stay with me. And said, I know him real well. I'm thinking about asking him if he'll stop and spend a day here at school. And that'd be cool. So she set the events up, and come the day, because he was her friend, he come to our class, but we all went to the gymnasium, and he played music and talked to all of us, and then he come back to our class, spent the rest of the day. His wife was named Ingrid, and he really loved her. He talked about her. Then he sung the song Time in a Bottle, and there wasn't nobody talking. Everybody was, dead silent. Well, I hear that music nowadays on the YouTube, and it takes me back to those days. I remember meeting him. He was a real nice guy. Now, here's the funny thing about him. There was a couple of kids in our class that, let's just say they was underprivileged. To put it in a simple term, he made a point to speak to each one of us kids. He didn't care if you was rich, poor, black or white, yellow, he didn't care. He liked everybody. I never forgot that about that man. But anyway, those times come and went. She asked me one day about my fingers, and I tried to explain to her. Well, that night, I went home and went to bed. Middle of the night, two guys showed up in my room. Don't know how they got there. They just, I guess, tore through the bell and popped in. They said, get up and get dressed. I knew what was going on. We was going back to the projects. So, I got dressed. I kept asking, how long am I going to be gone this time? That's up to them. We're just sent to get you. Get dressed. So I'm putting my cowboy boots on, and all of a sudden they said, you ready? I was like, yeah. They opened the portal and we stepped in, and next thing you know, I'm back at Long Island. Well, luckily that night they let me sleep. They took me to my room, fed me. I went back to bed. Bed wasn't real comfortable, but them sheets were like boards. I don't know what kind of starch they was using, but Jesus Christ. They could have stood up by themselves. Well, they let me sleep most of the next day, so I don't know, maybe they put something in the food that made me sleep. Damn. When I woke up, I was on my stomach, sleeping. God damn, I hurt. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck from the backside. Well, I get up, and I notice this square-looking gauze pad, and it's all taped. It was on the back side between my ribs. Damn, I was hurting. Lady come in, she said, I need to check your incision. I said, well, what'd you guys do to me? They said, just a procedure. So she undoes the tape, and damn, that hurt. Got kind of bruised back there. Of course, that tape peeling off my skin, that kind of hurt. She looked it over, And she grabbed this bottle of stuff and put a rag up to my ribs on the back side, and she squirted this solution, which was colder than hell. It was like ice water. Damn, that burnt. She dabbed it, then let it air dry a little bit, and she goes, "Now I'm going to try not to make this hurt. Just don't move." I see her get this tube of stuff out, and she squirted it on her rubber gloves she had on, and I felt her rub, and it was like somebody poking on a bruise. Man, it hurt like hell, but I tried to do what she said. I sat there and took the pain. When she had done, she put another piece of gauze, stuck it to that salve-looking stuff, cut 4 pieces of tape, covered it up. She goes, "By the time you get ready to go back, it should start to really heal." I said, "How long am I here for this time, and what are we doing? And how did I get that on my back?" They said, "That'll all be explained to you." She goes, "Go ahead and put your shirt back on." So I put my shirt on, and she helped me off the table, and I'm still hurt back there. I feel like somebody stabbed me with a knife. So I get led out to the hallway, and there's 2 of these people out there, these doctors, I guess scientists, whatever the hell you want to call them. They had on these frock coats, these long white coats, like a doctor. They said, "You're to come with us." Okay? So the one started to walk, and the other one just stood there. He goes, "Follow him." So I followed the one in front of me, and the one that was standing there got behind me. They walked me through a series of hallways and doorways. And the guy stopped at this one, looked like a sliding door. I seen him punch these numbers. The door opened, and he goes, "Come on." So all 3 of us got in this elevator. We went down 2 levels. The elevator stopped, the doors open. Again, the first one leads, I follow, and the one was following me. At the time, I thought that was kind of weird, but now it's probably to keep me from breaking and running. We go down a darkened hallway. There's a door, and I can see light underneath of it. They open the door. "Come in." So I walked in there, and that guy sat at this big desk. The other one was standing there by me, and he goes, "Have a seat, gentlemen." So I eased down that chair because my back was still hurting. But they made that decision. He goes, "We've had a little bit of problem with you." "Oh, yeah?" "Such as?" I was playing stupid. "You like to talk." "Well, yeah, I like to talk to everybody." "No." "You like to talk about what goes on here. What's going on with you? We can't have that no more." "Do you know what happened to you today?" "Other than I slept a long time and woke up with a cut on my back. And looked like you guys gave me stitches." "Yeah, we put a device inside of you." "What kind of device?" "Well, it does a lot of things. It's going to help you in the project in case you get hurt." "So what's that do?" "Well, it'll help heal you. But there's some drawbacks." "What's the drawbacks?" "You get to talking. We can either shoot you with pain, or we can put you out like a light. You mean, no, we wouldn't do that to you. Just make you go to sleep. It looked like you was having a seizure, but you'd just black out. Why'd you do that? We just told you. You got a big mouth. You need to stop that talking. What goes on here stays here. Now, we thought by having your animals killed, that would shut you up, but obviously you hard-headed. So, we got a secondary plan to keep your big mouth shut. We got too much invested in you. You're our best asset. You know, people usually don't last as long as you do. But you seem to excel in everything that we put you through, including the beatings and the torture. And of course, the old man come out at the wrong time. He slipped into the driver's seat. He goes, yeah, but I sure don't enjoy that goddamn pain and suffering you give me, and y'all need to knock that shit off. Dude, I wish he hadn't said that. The guy sitting next to me hauled up and hit me in the jaw and knocked me plumb out of the chair onto the floor. I got up spitting blood where my cheek got busted by hitting my teeth. He goes, I don't know which one of you said it, but wrong answer. Like, shit. So I get up and sit down in the chair, and he goes, you know, at any given time, we could shoot you with pain from here all the way to your house, no matter where you go. We'll always know, too, where you're going because it's also a tracking device. Are you kidding me? Like in the movies, a tracking device? Son of a bitch. So, now I started getting scared. He goes, well, you've been through enough, and the jaw probably hurts, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. We're going to take you down to the mess hall, and you can eat, and you can go topside for an hour or two, get some sunlight and fresh air. Then you'll take your dessert in your room, and we'll let you sleep. So, they take me topside. It was a pretty nice day out, kind of breezy. So I enjoyed the coolness of the air coming off the ocean. Felt pretty good. Got to hear the birds and stuff. Wasn't long my time passed, and time to go back in. Took me down to get something to eat. Their food wasn't too bad, except they wouldn't allow me damn no salt and pepper. I am a saltaholic. I like my pepper, but most everything I eat gets salted, and it looks like it snowed in Denver. And they wouldn't let me have it, so that wasn't helping my issues any. But I ate it anyway. I knew what happened if you don't eat when they offer it. First you get a beating, then you get starved for 24 hours. Next time it's 48 hours. Then it goes up to 72 hours. I wasn't going there. I learned my lesson. I was there for several months, healed. I was waiting for some kind of a job. Never come up. They was just having me there to let me heal. Wish I'd have consented on that damn thing, because I'd have told them no way. That's why they didn't give me a choice. I still got that locator inside of me. That's how they know where I'm at. So, that's the story about that. Well, come the day they healed enough, they took the stitches out. They gave me a few more days to make sure the incision wasn't going to bust. It was just a small little incision. Then they took me back through the portal. And it was just like I'd never left. I was still a little sore, but tolerable. And life just kind of went on. Nobody was ever the wiser. My mom knew. Hell, she knew everything. She must have been the whore of God or something. Or maybe the whore of Satan. Hell, I don't know. According to who was available at that time. But it seemed like every time I left and come back, my parents come into a chunk of money, and so did the rest of my family on my mom's side. I always thought maybe they was getting bonuses or something, but come to find out, I was doing the suffering, the sweating, and going places while they collected my money. Of course, I didn't think that was very fair, but that's life. Life ain't meant to be fair. Well, this time, I'd gotten another dog. That dog was uglier than God's sin. He's a good dog, though. Well, then I'd made friends with one of the older neighbors. Well, I guess my choice in friends was never very good. It just so happens this older kid was one of the older kids that come to the house and kind of roughed me up one time. Just all of a sudden he decided he wanted to be buddies, chums, or pals, whatever you want to call it. I was young and stupid, naive. I took him up on it, and I figured that way nobody else would be screwing with me, because he's a pretty good-sized guy. Well, he'd come over and we'd sit around and yap, talk a little bit. He'd bring his 10-speed over and we'd ride up and down the alley a little bit. Nobody ever screwed with me during this time. Several months went by and he'd come over several times a day when I was home. Well, one day he come over and he goes, "You don't get sick when you ride a roller coaster or anything, do you?" I don't know, I ain't never rode one. He goes, "Well, there's one way to find out." And I seen this look in his eye that told me something just wasn't right. It was an evil presence. And before I could react, he grabbed me by my feet and started swinging me around. He was turning and swinging me, and my hands were straight out. I was trying, like a cat, I was trying to grab onto something. After about the 10th time around, he goes, "You know, if I dropped you, it hurt pretty bad." He no more than said that, and he turned loose. And I fell to the ground, dizzy as hell, hit my head on the tree and the rock. Dude, I'm not kidding you. All I seen was red, just like somebody threw a paintball, red paintball. And then next thing you know, everything just went black. I guess it knocked me out. Right, just a few seconds afterwards, my mom pulled in and come out and grabbed me up, I guess, and I was still out of it. I don't remember that part. I woke up at the hospital. Back of my head was cracked open, about a 3-4 inch gash. They said I was going to have a hell of a headache for quite a while. Slight concussion. I was supposed to rest and not be doing a lot of exertion things for a couple of weeks. They kept me overnight, and I was released to go home. Now, I told my dad about it. This kid kind of vanished. Didn't see him no more. Because my dad was looking for him. I didn't understand that kept just driving me nuts. Well, I got my suspicions on that somebody in the project maybe offered him a little bit of money to drive home the fact I should keep my mouth shut. Or hurt me real good so I'd remember. Well, that kind of gives you an idea why I don't trust people too far, because I thought he was trying to be my friend. Instead, he just wanted to get close enough to hurt me. That wasn't the first time, and wouldn't be the last time. Well, I'll see you in the next one. There's a little bit of food for thought, and I'll be posting another video here shortly. Hope you come and join me and give me a thumbs up. Don't give me a finger, though. Give me a thumbs up, a like, maybe a comment if you want to comment, as long as it ain't nothing bad. If it is something bad, I'll probably flush you like a turd. Well, I'll see you in the next one. This is Henry. Good night for now. Thank you.